स्वरूपसमं यान्ति तस्मै सत्यात्मने नमः। ज्ञाता ज्ञानं तथा ज्ञेयं द्रष्टा दर्शनदृश्यभूः। कर्ता हेतुः क्रिया यस्मात् तस्मै ज्ञात्यात्मने नमः। स्फुरन्ति शिखरा यस्मात् आनन्दसाम्बरे वनौ। सर्वेषां जीवनं तस्मै ब्रह्मानन्दात्मने नमः। ब्रह्मानन्दात्मने नमः। वेदोदधिं समुन्मथ्य ज्ञानरात्रं समुद्धृतं येन तस्मै वसिष्ठाय गुरुणां गुरवे नमः। वशिष्ठ जी भगवान की जय। सद्गुरु भगवान की जय। सच्चिदानंद भगवान की जय। शब्द ब्रह्म की जय। सरस्वती महारानी की जय। योग वशिष्ठ जी भगवान की जय। हरि ओम। योग वशिष्ठ निर्वाण प्रकरण लास्ट पार्ट, निर्वाण प्रकरण second half and 94th chapter. After discussing the story of the golden rock, Vasistha ji explained when he comes back to his own place in the sky, where he made his heart by yogic power, by mental power. He saw somebody is sitting there and his body is not found there. So he just thought of not disturbing the person who is meditating there, and he started going away from the heart. So he forgot the thought of the heart was deleted from his mind. So the heart also was disappeared. So the person who was sitting there, he having no base, no support to sit, he started falling down, and Vasistha ji, out of curiousness, he followed the Siddha person who was falling, and he fell down on a golden pasture where he sat straight, and Vasistha ji reached there also, and Vasistha ji was curious about his life. Who was he? How he came there, and what happened to him. according to the the uh, questions of Vasistha, the Siddha replied how he got discrimination from the worldly life, and he gave up everything, and he started roaming in the sky and trying to find out a lonely place. He also came there and saw the hut made by Vasistha there, and he sat there in meditation. So he was narrating all the incidents, whatever happened to him. After that, both the persons, Vasistha and that Siddha, both apologized to each other and made friendship, and they started going to their own places. So Vasistha is narrating now the space travel, whatever happened to him, to Ramji. Vasistha said, I was having the mental body which was so subtle, just like sky, and so subtle that it was able to travel anywhere and everywhere, and he had no gross body. In the mental body, he was roaming here and there. He roamed about in the sky in different levels of existence, that is, different subtler realms, and he explained that he could not contact with the subtle bodies there in those subtle realms, and he felt like a ghost there, though he was willing to have contact with the people there in the subtler planes, yet he could not have any contact with anyone, and he was explaining how he was unable to have contact with other beings there. So Ramji went on asking some questions, and Vasistha was answering everything. He said he was feeling like the body of a ghost. So Ramji asked him, how are the ghosts, of what nature they are, and how do they behave, and how do they trouble ordinary people in the earthly planes, how they become the ghosts. All these Vasistha explained to him, and we were discussing about the ghosts, how do they look like, how do they behave, and all these. So Vasistha was telling Ram, the ghosts are generally negative personalities. Because of torture or the time of death of gross body, the subtle body never gets freedom to go to subtler realms, but in the earthly plane, they remain in subtle bodies, those who are always restless due to uh, their sufferings at the time of death. And according to the nature, they suffer in the subtle body for some time, and generally they have always negative thoughts, negative wishes, and sometimes they will have the mentality to take revenge upon some persons, and always will have lost greed and anger, and they are mostly negative bodies, and they are captured by, they are controlled by mantra and some medicines with tapas and many other kinds of actions. They get, they are controlled by some persons, those who know how to control the ghosts. This is what Vasistha was explaining to Ram, how he felt. Generally, the ghosts are negative bodies. Because of their suffering at the time of exact death, they suffer in the subtle bodies and they don't get freedom to have some other bodies, gross bodies, or to go to subtler realms. They remain here and they, for some time, they suffer a lot, and during that suffering, they will have the attitude to take revenge upon some people, to do some harm to some people. Of course, whatever they do, they are negative bodies. They do everything negatively. But yet we see some positive bodies are also found in those ghostly bodies. They are very few. Of course, everybody will have some reason to have that ghost body. तो वह वशिष्ठ जी कह रहे हैं, तब किस उपाय से राम जी पूछे जब, तब वशिष्ठ जी बोले, अकॉर्डिंग टू द क्वेश्चन ऑफ राम, वशिष्ठ जी वाज टेलिंग, तब किस उपाय से उन्हें मनुष्य देख पाते हैं, हाउ आर दे गेट visible to some persons. Some persons see the ghost bodies. How are they visible? to some persons. So Vasistha ji replied, सत्व का अवटम्भ रूप योग धारणा का जो एक भेद है, सत्व का अवटम्भ रूप योग धारणा का जो एक भेद है, उससे भूतों के अवलोकन के अनुकूल बीजाक्षर से घटित रजत आदि पत्र के ऊपर लिखित कंठ आदि में धारण किए जा गए यंत्र तथा आराधित मंत्र से वे दिखाई देते हैं, तथा भूत विद्या जानने वाले किसी एक पुरुष के द्वारा कभी वशीभूत होकर सेवा आदि में नियुक्त भी किए जाते हैं। किसी देश में ये भी प्रसिद्ध है। Vasistha ji is telling Ram, you see, these ghosts are controlled by some persons. Those who know how to control the ghosts, they are controlled by some mantras, by some yantra. Yantra means on the copper plate or in over the silver plate. Some people, they know how to make some yantras, some forms they draw in those plates, and those plate is used by some persons who are afraid of ghosts. They tie it in neck or in the hands, arms. They use them. Tabish कहते हैं ना. Sometimes the yantras or mantras are written in Bhojpatta also, in some other ways. They write it and they put it in a cover, and the cover is used by people who are afraid of all these ghosts. So mantra, bijakshar, the compound letters, and some mantras, particular mantras, which has influence over such negative bodies, and some mantras, those persons, they know how to do, what to do, and they do it, and they give it to people who are afraid of ghosts, and they use it in the neck or in hands. So in that way, they can see the ghosts also, but ghosts cannot do anything to, any harm to such persons who use these. And sometimes they say, in some areas it is well known that they capture these negative bodies, ghosts, and they make use of them. They ask them to do something, and they do it. They can do it easily what just human beings cannot do easily, because they have subtle bodies, so they do anything and everything quickly and more successfully. Means If you want to build up a house, then give the materials, the ghost will make it in no time. Or going to some person and influence those persons. Tantra mantra mein hota hai na sabu. So in this way, the ghosts are captured and they are used for some purpose of doing something. This is found in some areas. People do this. खास करके कामाख्या वगैरह में तंत्र मंत्र जहाँ चलता है, where they use such mantras and tantras, they control some ghosts and make use of them in bad purposes. Generally, ghosts are not able to do something good because their bodies are negative bodies. To do some harm to somebody and to do something negative to someone, these ghosts are used. देवजोनि के 11 भेदों के भीतर यह भूत जोनि है, इसलिए अणिमा आदि ऐश्वर्यों के तारतम्य से सुख भोग भी उनमें है। यह सूचित करते हुए उनकी जाति तथा आकृति के भेद का विस्तार पूर्वक वर्णन करते हैं। Vasistha ji says, these ghosts, they are a kind of gods. Gods means the subtler bodies, those who after the death of gross bodies, those who have done some such karma in the previous life, they get subtle body and they go to some subtler realms, a different kind of heaven, and they enjoy their previous good karmas, and not always they remain there. As long as their karma is over, they remain in those subtle bodies and they enjoy their good karmas, result of good karmas. And their enjoyment also differs from each other. And such gods, sometimes they are important gods, they are the controller of the nature also. Some particular aspect of nature is controlled by such gods also. And these gods are of different classes. Mainly they are of 11 class. So the lower class of gods are these ghosts, because they have subtler bodies and they remain in subtle realms. So they are taken as the lowest type of gods. Gods means subtler bodies who remain in subtler worlds. And after enjoying these subtle bodies and all those enjoyments, they have to take again some gross bodies. That is the law of nature going on in a circle. Sometimes somebody, then after that some other bodies, some other bodies, they go on changing. Everybody is subject to this cycle of birth and death. And these bodies, they take different gross bodies or subtle bodies according to the nature of their karmas done before. So those gods who are more powerful, that means those who have done mostly so much good karmas in the previous lives, they get some subtle bodies as gods, and they are given some particular control in the nature. Lokpal, we say, they control different aspects of the nature, say water aspect, or wealth aspect, or climate, or some other aspects of nature. And ordinary gods, they just enjoy their good karmas for some time, and then they go to other bodies after finishing those, enjoying those good karmas. So these gods are the lowest type of these gods. And some are also positive bodies. Not all the gods are negative. Some are positive also. They enjoy some good karmas in this body of ghosts, in the subtle body, and they help some people also in some way. So, Vasistha ji says, क्योंकि यह भूत जोनि भी देवजोनि ही है, इसीलिए इन पिशाचों में कोई देव रूप ऐश्वर्य संपन्न होते हैं, कोई मनुष्यों के समान लक्ष्मी से संपन्न होते हैं, और कोई सांपों के सदृश भी होते हैं. In India, in most of the parts of India, it is believed, if you hide some gold and other jewels, costly jewels inside the earth, digging some place and putting there, after some time it gets life, and they say it is a type of yaksha, the controller of wealth. And sometimes some snakes are born there, and they are the form of those wealth. And some people know how to turn those snakes into wealth. Some mantra, some tantra, they know. So what he means to say, some such ghosts are of bhog joni, means they enjoy some good karmas also, because they are a type of gods, so they are sometimes positive also. And some of the ghosts, they they are powerful also. You see, we have such stories in our Indian society. You see, Jakshini, Yaksha, or Pisachini, Karna Pisachi, many kinds of such ghosts are there who are positive and they are capable of doing something good. I shall tell you a story. Uh, Once, it is a true story. Once some sadhu was coming from Banaras to Uttarkashi. First of all, he will have to come to Haridwar and then to Uttarkashi. His purpose was reaching Uttarkashi and doing some tapasya, very good sadhak, great renunciate. He was coming on those days. There was no such facilities of train and plane and other things. So people used to come by walk. From Banaras he started walking towards Haridwar, and in between sometimes he saw some farmer who was plowing the land. He called the monk from a distance, "Oh monk," by the name, "Oh such, oh Premanand Swamiji," that that farmer who was plowing the field, he knew the name of the monk and he shouted at him, welcoming him, "Oh Premanand Swamiji, come, come, I am waiting for you." The farmer says. So the monk was astonished. How does he know my name? So the monk comes to the farmer and asks, how do you know my name? "No, I know. You are coming from Banaras?" "Yes." "Are you going to Haridwar?" "Yes." "Yes, that's why I know you. You are welcome in my house. Come on. You are my guest. You can stay in my house for 2-3 days and then take rest, and then you can go to Haridwar." The monk was astonished. He was wonderstruck. How this fellow, common farmer, he knows everything. He didn't know me before, and now he calls by my name, and he knows where from I am coming. Everything he knows. How is it possible? Is he a all-knower? How is it? Of course, he agreed to him. Yes, come on. And the farmer took him and welcomed him with all the respect and asked him to rest in his house. In the evening, he served some food to the monk. After taking food, the monk says, he called the farmer, made him sit aside, and he politely asked, "Oh great farmer, How do you know my name and you know everything about me? What is the secret? Are you a all-knower? By what means you got all this? Can you make me your disciple and give me this method how to get such knowledge? He was completely influenced by the farmer. So he asked, what is the method? How did you get such knowledge? Can you give me this method? So the farmer laughed at him. My dear, you are great. Don't, don't think this way. I am nothing before you. You are a great soul. But how did you know it? Now you see, I have some power with me. Some power means some karna pisachini, some time of such ghosts. They live in some houses from generation to generation, and by some way they are worshipped by the family and they become the family member. Such ghosts. And they help the family. Name is Karna Pisachini. Such ghosts, of course, they are invisible beings with subtle bodies, and they always, they know everything because they are subtler bodies, so they know many things which ordinary people cannot understand. So, she used to, Karna Pisachini used to tell everything in his ear, in the ear of the farmer, such and such person is coming. His name is so and so. And he is coming from Banaras. He is going to Haridwar. Please invite him. He is a great soul. Make him your guest. Serve him. You will acquire merits. So, she told everything, and whatever he heard from the Pisachini, he just told to the person, that monk. So he explained everything, all the tactics, how he knew everything, and the farmer said to the monk, if you want it, I can give you. It is from our family, generation to generation, this ghost is with us. If you want, I can ask him to go to you. But you have to give her some meat and some blood and some negative foods, say wine, etc. By that they are worshipped and they get satisfied and they remain in your house always. And they will be always with you. So if you want, you can do it, then I am ready to ask the ghost to go to you. Come on, are you ready? Then only that monk said, no, I don't like such things. All these negative, tamasic things, I don't want. That monk was telling all these experiences to some other Mahatmas who told me this story. It is some incident, say 100 years back, 150 years back. People used to come by walk. They used to, Mahatmas, they used to roam about by walk only, Parivrajak. So such ghostly bodies. Nitai Kondu, the trust property. Tagore has written a story, trust property, how that person keeps plenty of wealth in uh, some place under the ground, and to watch it, he takes some child and kills the child there, and to protect that wealth. Such are the such are the stories found in our societies, and such ghost bodies, they are known in Indian society. Such ghosts are controlled by persons, and they do some good to some persons. They do some harm to some other persons. Such are the bodies of these ghosts, and they are lower type of gods. इनमें कुछ ऐसे होते हैं जिनकी उपमा कुत्तों तथा श्रृगालों से दी जा सकती है। कोई ऐसे होते हैं जो गांव में तथा जंगलों में निवास करते हैं, तथा कोई ऐसे भी होते हैं जिनका नहरों, कुओं, मार्गों तथा नरक सदृश अपवित्र देशों में ही सदा सर्वदा वास रहता है। Such ghosts, sometimes they live in lonely places, in dilapidated wells, or in some caves of the dense forests. Sometimes they live in some plants, some thorny plants, in some other trees they remain, and they live in a way, tamasic way, in a very negative life. Negatively they live. हे श्री रामचंद्र जी, इनके यही सब रहने के स्थान है। इसी तरह के आकाश के साथ ऐसे ही आचार के वे पिशाच होते हैं। यह सब मैंने आपसे कह दिया, अर्थात आपने जो प्रश्न किया था कि वे किस आकार के होते हैं, उनका आचार क्या होता है, तथा वे कहाँ रहते हैं, इसका उत्तर मैंने आपको दे दिया। अब इनका आप यह जन्म सुनिए। ये जन्म कैसे होते हैं, पिशाच योनि में आते हैं कैसे। In Yoga Vasistha we are talking of ghosts. Of course, why Ramji asked such questions and why Vasistha ji is explaining everything, we shall discuss it afterwards. Now, after telling all those facts, where do they live, what do they do, and what kind of body they have, all these. Because Vasistha said, I was having a body like ghost, ghostly body. What is ghost's body? How is it? So being curious, Ramchandraji asked such questions and Vasistha is explaining everything. Hey Sri Ramchandraji, कार्य ब्रह्म से विलक्षण जो माया व सबल ब्रह्म है वह समस्त शक्तियों के स्वभाव से विषय का संकल्प करते हुए मनोमय पुरुष के समान भीतर अवबुद्ध होकर स्वरूप से जो स्थित है उसी को जीव नामक प्रथम अंकुर समझिए। अभिमान से परिपूर्ण वही अहंकार कहा गया है तथा परिपुष्ट हुए उस अहंकार को ही उन महानुभवों ने जिन आत्मा का आविर्भाव हो गया है वह मन कहा है। Now, Vasistha is explaining the origin of these ghosts, how they get such bodies and where from they get originated. Of course, we have discussed something, who becomes ghost. You see, after death, we have already seen, at the time of death, if a person is suffering too much, with those suffering feeling, if he leaves the gross body and he goes out of the gross body with a subtle body, with torture, with painful feelings, sufferings, then it remains in that suffering state for some time, and nobody can exactly say who remains for how long. It depends upon the nature of his karma. So these bodies, subtle bodies, suffering bodies, they live in a subtle realm around this gross earthly plane, and they, because of this suffering, they behave always negatively, and they are always, say, they are tamasic, means they are always negative. Very few are positive, and because of their wrong karmas, they suffer at the time of leaving body, and they go to these lives, ghostly life. So Vasistha is explaining how do they get generated. So to explain this, Vasistha starts with the starting of the creation itself. Because everything is, all whatever we are discussing, everything is only mental case. Everything depends upon the mind. Mind does all sorts of karmas, and karma is the root cause of our body, our behavior, our life, and all those relations with our personal life and whatever transactions we do, it is controlled by our previous karmas. Karma is only the rope to tie everything in this world. Everything is tied up, as it were, by the rope of karma. Everything. So, karma starts from the starting of the creation. Karma means mind. Mind means restlessness of a, a state which is not restless, which is always steady, always in equilibrium state. When there arise any restlessness, means vibrations, that becomes, we know, we have discussed it many times, that becomes the energy. It is said as energy, prana, the vital energy, or that same thing is known as mind, and same thing is known as jiva also. Jiva means the individual being. And that has some ego, some identity. Every vibration has some identity, and it has some differentness, feeling of differentness from each other, and that differentness is known as ego, and it is limited by itself. It is always limited because it is a vibration, a wave. So it is limited, and it is not the steadiness. So it will have an identity which is known as ego, and which is also known as the mind, and the same thing, this separate identity is known as jiva. Jiva means individual being, because it has become something by limiting itself. So it is known as the being. So this being may be any being, but when one becomes many, then many kinds of beings are seen. Every wave will be different from each other. So difference becomes the fundamental principle of this manyness which is known as the creation. So Vasistha starts from the beginning of this creation, how all these beings are originated. हे श्री रामचंद्र जी, कार्य ब्रह्म से विलक्षण जो माया सवर ब्रह्म है, कार्य ब्रह्म मीन्स which is beyond our Brahma, the truth which is beyond our mind and intellect, or beyond reach of anything. Because it is the absolute equilibrium. So our mind or intellect or any kind of approach is not possible to contact this absolute state of equilibrium. That is called reality, the truth. But when anything different is seen in it, then that is called Maya, which is not the reality. Something else is seen in this reality. That is called Maya. That means Maya means something is seen which is not there. And for this we have so many examples, just as the rope, because of darkness, because of your incapability of seeing the rope by darkness or by some means, you don't see it. You concrete something on it that is either snake or something else. Generally we think of snake because we don't see the reality. This snake is not there. It is some superimposition, some imaginary thought only. It is seen, this imagination is there because the reality is not visible. And this imagination or superimposition or something, some thought which was not the reality, that is called Maya. That is how it goes on multiplying innumerably. Why? Because it is not the reality. So always there will be some question, what is the reality? So the presence is searched for, and that's how we have to go through the absence only. We have seen the example of the student which is absent in the class. When you go in search of him, you search him where he is not there, and that place will be so many. As long as you don't find him, you don't find his presence, till then you go on searching for him in places where he is absent only. So absence has got no reality. It is not one, it is confusive, and it is always with question mark, and always it is confusive and imaginary. But when you find the presence of the boy, then all your search is over. Similarly with the truth, when the truth is not known, then we want to know the truth. That query is known as Maya. So query is query. Always there will be questions. Questions arise when there is no reality. This is how this all these names and forms are so-called world is superimposed on the reality which is not visible to the senses, speech or mind or intellect, because they are all these aspects are always limited and the truth is unlimited. That's how these aspects, they have no capability of reaching the truth. That's how always the truth is invisible and always it is hidden truth. So all these, whatever we superimpose on the truth, that is known as Maya, that is known as creation, and that how we start thinking wrongly, where from this starts, this origin of superimposition. So that is explained in this way when, because we don't see the truth, and truth is so transparent and all pervading, always available everywhere, all powerful and all knower. So it is so transparent. Its nature is always bewildering. And when we don't see the sun because of its glow, our eyes cannot see it. We see just the rays of light come from the sun outside it, but the inner reality of sun, identity of sun, cannot be seen by the bare eyes. So we see only the rays of light, which is not the sun, but because of sun. Similarly, the truth is never seen, so all these names and forms, these identities, all these such identities which are not the reality, which are not stable, which are restless, are superimposed on the truth. And these are such identities are called beings, because it is limited by itself. So it is called being. It has become something, and it will have that ego of identity. I am. And that's how the creation starts. And that first being will be known as the creator, and that first being becomes many. One becomes many. It goes on multiplying. And that's how all these multiples, many, they are originated from original one only, and this is how the creation is started. So Vasistha ji is explaining this. Hey Ramchandra ji, कार्य ब्रह्म से जो विलक्षण ये माया सबल ब्रह्म, माया सबल ब्रह्म मीन्स ट्रूथ विथ सुपर इम्पोजिशन, माया के साथ, विथ माया, truth with maya. Maya means this power. Just as the fire has its nature, the light or heat, just as the water has its nature, liquidity or transparency, all these are the nature of the object. Similarly, the nature of the absolute is called Maya. It is not visible to itself ordinarily. Commonly, it is not visible. So this is called Maya. It's a nature. And this is nothing but its transparency, glow. Just as we are unable to see the sun, similarly, the truth is not seen. And whatever is seen, that is called Maya Saval Brahma, means it is superimposed truth. वह समस्त शक्तियों के संभाव से विषय का संकल्प करते हुए मनोमय पुरुष के समान भीतर अवबुद्ध होकर स्वरूप से जो स्थित है उसी को जीव नामक प्रथम अंकुर समझिए. The first being. What happens? How the first being is created? He says, when one wave is created, means something on the truth, which is not the truth. Something is, some thought is brought forth. Some thought, it is so and so. Just as we don't see the snake, don't see the rope, and we bring the thought of snake. The snake is the first thought. And then we shall have other thoughts about the snake. The snake will be zigzag like this, or so long, or so thick. All these thoughts are made upon the snake. Afterwards, first thought will come, it is snake. In this way, the snake gets a form. Our thought becomes a form. Understood? The first thought comes on the unseen truth. The first thought takes a form, and that is called the first being, because it takes a form. Just as we think of the snake, snake has a form. Or else we may imagine anything, it will have some form. If not snake, let us think of a dried branch lying somewhere. It is not the rope, but it is a wooden piece, maybe. So that wooden piece thought will have a form. You will imagine about the form of the wooden piece. In this way, whatever we think, those thoughts, they take some forms. And these forms are called beings. This is how the being is made. Being is formed. So the first being, the first thought will be first being, and it is monomay, it is mental, because it is a thought. Why it will be thought? Because the truth is not seen. Something else is seen on the truth. So whatever is seen, that is called mind. And that becomes restless, slowly it becomes many. So that is called manan. Manan means to become many. And that manyness is the process of the creation, and that creation is nothing but mental process. This is how mind becomes many. And every thought of the wave of the mind, every thought will have some identity, some form, and every thought will be a being. This is how the first being is known as the creator, and other beings are the multiplication of the first being. That means body of the first being. So creation is the body of the creator. All these thoughts take their origin from first thought. So all these thoughts belong to the first thought. So everything, whatever we see or we know as the visible world, it is superimposed on the one ego that is called creator. And that ego is nothing but a mind, thought. That's how these bodies, these gods, say Brahma, Vishnu, or Shankar, they are called mental bodies. Medhaj, Medhaj, Medha means the subtlemost state of the mind, that is called Medha, Dhriti, etc. So these gods, those controllers of the creation, the destroyer, the protector, all these gods, they are called Medhaj. They are originated from Medha, the mind of the Absolute. Mind means some kind of superimposition or some kind of some forms which is not stable, which is always restless. So it is known as mind, and mind will have first thought, will have some form, and that form is called being. Don't forget this process. This is how all these names and forms are created. And now, Vasistha says, Samasta Saktiyon ke Shobha. This is the nature of the Absolute. इसका संकल्प करते हुए मनोमय पुरुष, पुरुष मतलब somebody के समान, मनोमय पुरुष के समान भीतर अवबुद्ध हो करके, creating a limit and being within it and having some identity, ego, that becomes the जीव, the being, ऐसा स्थिति रहता है, उसी को जीव नाम प्रथम अंकुर समझिए, फर्स्ट sprout. Just as the seed, when gets some favorable conditions, then it sprouts, and that sprout is the first origin. First origin. In the seed, the tree is in a sleeping position, in a dormant position. When it gets favorable conditions, then only the sprout is seen. Similarly, in the Absolute, somehow or other, if a vibration is created because of its transparency, because of its nature, the first wave will be the first sprout. That's how we know the truth is known as Adi Bij, the first seed. And when it sprouts, then that first thought becomes the creator. And that one thought becomes many. So the whole creation starts from there. तो उसी को आप अंकुर समझिए, अभिमान से परिपूर्ण. It will have some ego, I. वही अहंकार कहा गया है. When it will have some identity as something, that will be its ego. तथा परिपुष्ट हुए उस अहंकार की ही हम महानुभावों ने, जिनने आत्मा का आविर्भाव हो गया है, वो मन कहा है. That first being is also when it has some identity feeling, some ego, I, then it is known as the mind. And it feels its identity, and that identity also is known as self, mind or self or ego or the being, jiv, they are synonymous terms only. They have no different meaning. वह मनोरूप जो जीव है, that being which is form of mind only, वही समष्टि रूप से संकल्प आकाश रूप धारी ब्रह्मा कहलाता है. We already we have discussed it, that first being which has a body of sky, which is all-pervading body, all-pervading, then how can it be limited? Though it is all-pervading, yet it is limited in comparison with the absolute. This sky, though it is unlimited and it is beyond our mind and intellect, we cannot exactly think what sky is. It is beyond our reach, but yet it is limited when we compare with the absolute truth. Because this sky is held by some idea, so this is called the elementary sky. This is taken as the first element, and behind this the mental sky is there. One thought of sky holds this elementary sky. First comes the thought, and that thought is thought over by some consciousness only, which has the power of creating, which nature has the creating power. So, this first thought, which is a creative power, which is mind, which is limited in some way. It is limited in comparison with the truth, which is unlimited. But in comparison of the other beings which are created afterwards, which is known as the world, they are much more limited, and in comparison with them, this first being is unlimited. Always we see the meaning of the words with comparison. The same infinity is finite when we see other infinities. In this way, the self also, you must understand the meaning of the self, it changes when we compare differently. Same self, sometimes the the senses are known as the self because they are superior than the body, and when we compare the senses with the mind becomes the self in comparison with the senses. And when we think of the intellect, intellect is superior than the mind, so intellect is known as the self, not the mind. But mind is the self when we compare with the senses. So self means the central identity. In this way, that first self, first ego, first mind, or first being, that is, though it is finite, it is limited, it is a being, yet in comparison with the other beings it is unlimited and it is a cosmic being. It has got no limits. And the same identity is known as the samashti mind, the total, the cosmic mind, the total mind. उसी से संकल्प आकाश रूपधारी ब्रह्मा कहलाता है. And it is full of thoughts only, and its form is thoughts only, and that is how it is the thought sky or the ideal sky, the idea of the sky, and it is the same first seed which wants to become many. And then that manyness is known as the world, and that first one thought is known as the creator. We are discussing all these to find out, to understand the origin of these ghosts. Not only ghosts, by the way we can see the origin of all the beings. Why only ghosts? Even the gods and superior gods and all those controlling aspects of gods, or the human beings, or other beings, earthly beings, everything we will understand at a time, where from they get originated. वह मनोरूप जो जीव है वह समष्टि रूप से संकल्प आकाश रूप धारी ब्रह्मा कहलाता है. असद रूप इस जगत का बीज भी एकमात्र असद रूप ही है. उसकी कोई आकृति नहीं है. He says, this first seed, which is known as the creator Brahma, which is known as the cosmic mind, which is known as the creator, it has no particular form. Of course, it is limited because it is a fast thought, but yet we cannot think of its limitations. It is unlimited thought. That's how it starts becoming many. And we have the theory that in the very beginning there was the sound which is known as the pranab om, and then and there it becomes many, so then atha, om and atha, these two words, two sounds are originated in the very beginning, and the moment there is sound, that means vibration or energy, it cannot be stable, it has to be restless, and it has to create many. That is the nature of it. So it becomes many. Then, that's how comes the word then. Om Atha. These two words are the original beginning of the creation. From these two words, the whole creation starts. So the Om is the seed form of all the mantras and all the sounds, all the language. Om is the seed form. इस प्रकार मन ही ब्रह्मा बन कर स्थित है. This is how the mind is creator. He gives explanation, though we always say mind is the base for all these names and forms, all these our lives, transactions, whatever relations we have, whatever we perceive, whatever we know, whatever we do, whatever we speak, everywhere the mind is there in the base. Without mind we see nothing in this world. Everything is because of the mind. Up to this we have discussed, but now Vasistha says, Brahma is nothing but, the creator is nothing but the first thought, mind only. And so the whole world is, whole creation is mental. And this is how always we see in Upanishads or in other parts of Vedas. This is how he thought over. एतद अकल्पयत, ऐसा कल्पना किया. He thought like this. Always in all the scriptures we find this. He, the first being, he created means he thought over like this. Mind is the game maker. Mind plays the game. And the first mind is, first thought is known as Brahma, the creator. And that is, the body of Brahma is just like the sky, which is unlimited and which is transparent also. स्वप्न के पुरुष के आकार के सदृश उपस्थित रहने पर भी उसका वह शरीर असत है. The body of Brahma, the creator, though it is there, yet it is not there. It has got no particular form. How it is possible? though it has got some ego and some form, yet it has got no form. How to speak what is the meaning of it? He gives the example of dream. Just as in dream we see the forms, and all those forms will have some names. We we have transactions, giving and taking or having relation with those forms in the dream, which is meaningless, which is not really there. We see all these forms, we see all these relations between them, between these forms, but yet when we wake up, there is no such identity, there is no such forms or names. They disappear in nowhere. That's how he says, Vasistha says, this Brahma, which is named as creator, which is the first seed, which has the body of the sky, it has some identity which has got no form. It is just like a dreamy body, dream of the absolute. So it has got no real body. पुरुष के आकार के सदृश उपस्थित रहने पर भी उसका वह शरीर असत ही है. His body, though it has got a body, yet the body has got no real form. It is just like a dreamy body, dreamy identity. Ramji asked the origin of these ghosts, where from they come, where from they get originated. But Vasistha is replying in other language. He is replying Rama by telling the process of creation. Why? We have to understand, when he is explaining the starting of creation, he ends in telling that the creation is mental only, it has got no reality. This is the essence of his explanation. So such bodies, such ghosts, they are also, you have to take for granted, they are also mental bodies. They have some bodies, they do something, they have all these karmas just like human beings. They do everything, they have influence over the human beings. They are, now we explained, they are sometimes mostly negative, tamasic, and some are positive, and they have subtle bodies, and they are also controlled by some way, and they are used for something. In this way we have explained everything. Yet in the end you have to take for granted everything is mental case. And that's how Vasistha ji was telling Ram before that he was in a mental body. That means all these whatever he is telling, everything is imaginations and only concocted stories, nothing else. It has got no reality anywhere. Vasistha ji is telling some stories. In the very beginning he had told, I am going to tell you about the golden rock, story of golden rock. Pasana Upakhyan. Upakhyan means a story. It is a story. And if you take it for granted, it is reality. That is your problem. Nothing to do with Vasistha ji. In the very beginning he says it is a story. In the end also he is telling it is mental imaginations only. Of course, this mind, this thought process, these stories are different from persons to persons. The stories of the thinking process of these yogis, they are much subtler, much purer, much clearer than ordinary people's thought process. Yogis, their mind is so transparent, so pure, so subtle, so stable. Their thoughts are different than ordinary people's thoughts. This much only we can differentiate, or else everything is mind only and stories only. Some stories. No here, the story is real. Story is story. Dream is dream. Dream has got no reality, no proof. पृथ्वी आदि पंचभूतों की मूर्ति से रहित होने पर भी वह ब्रह्मा सूक्ष्म शरीर से संपन्न है। हे श्री रामचंद्र जी, आप ही सोचिए कि आकाश में संकल्प पुरुष के पृथ्वी आदि कहाँ से हो सकते हैं। See, Vasistha is telling, oh Ram, please think seriously yourself. You can think seriously. When it is said the first element is sky, has sky any solid form? Can you think some solid form of sky, in the sky or by the sky? Is it possible? Sky is sky. How can you think some solidity in the sky? But we believe when it is said sky is original element, and from sky the air is originated, and fire is originated from air, and water from fire, and earth is from water. So all these are five elements. This is what is said everywhere, and we believe it. How can there be any solid earth in the sky? How did you take it for granted? There is earth in the sky, and we see, we How to say, yes, the earth is hanging in the sky. All these solid forms, these stars and uh, these planets and all these we see in the sky only. Sky, everything is in the sky. And how it is possible? But we see it is real, so you have to think it seriously and you have to agree whatever you are seeing, whatever you are thinking, all these are baseless. You have to admit it because can you make the sky solid? Huh? You may argue, no, it is said the sky in course of time, when any subtle thing is repeatedly created again and accumulated again and again, repeatedly, it becomes gross. We have seen the oxygen and hydrogen, which are so subtle gases, they get together, they become water drops, and water becomes ice, ice becomes charcoal by pressure, and charcoal becomes diamond, so solid in course of time by repetition and by change. The same oxygen or hydrogen becomes once in course of time, it becomes the hard diamond. So we have to say, we have to believe the sky becomes earth also. This will be the argument process. But all these process you have to think seriously. We see the changes and one gets a solidity after repetition. Okay? But if you see this diamond, if you split it by chemical method, in the end what will you get? Only oxygen and hydrogen. If it is analytically, chemically analyzed and all its particles are seen, then what will you get? Its origin will be, its make will be from small particles of oxygen and hydrogen gas, isn't it? So that solidity is momentary. The origin is subtle gas. The root cause is there. So in this way, if you go on analyzing all these solid forms and names, they dwindle into nothing. They are only in the end, everywhere, every form, every name will be disappeared in sound. Sound is the original cause of all these. Just as the gas is the original cause of the diamond, so also this sound is found everywhere when it is analyzed properly, chemically, and all its atoms are seen. That's how the modern scientists have made this exam, this research they said when the atom is burst, what, what is seen? Some particles which is named as God particles, which are in motion, restless when we pay attention. When we see, it is seen in movement. It is not stable. They have named it as God particles. We mean when we go to the origin, they are only atoms and some smallest particles. So same thing is told to us in the Vedas. Anuranyan, smaller than the smallest, and same thing is found in bigger than the biggest, both way. So this root cause is smaller than the smallest, that is subtler than the subtlemost. So how can we believe all these solid forms, what we see around us as the world? Where is the truth behind it? It is originated from that subtleness and ends in that subtleness. That's how we hear from the Vedas or other Puranas, epics. From everywhere, scripture says the same origin, and they again go to the same origin where from they get their originated. So, in between, everything is taken for granted. Nothing is real. Everything is taken for granted. This is like this, it is taken. So tomorrow we shall see further. आपका मन जैसे आकाश में कल्पित नगर का अवलोकन करता है, वैसे ही अपने में कल्पित विरंची रूपता का भी अवलोकन करता है. Just as you imagine of yourself, your body, limited body, and parts of the body, all these you imagine, and your mind plays all the games. So-called your body is nothing but mental body. Mind creates all this. And this is how Lord Krishna also explains the process of making this body. Manah sasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karsati. Mind creates these bodies, solid bodies, taking ingredients from these 5 elements. It composes the body, just as the companies, medicine companies, they compose some medicine from different articles, and they make some tablets or some capsules, which is just a composition. Similarly, all these bodies, they are composed by the mind. The root cause is mind. So this we shall see again clearly tomorrow, so that we can come to the conclusion that these ghosts, they are only mental bodies, and not only ghosts, the whole universe is mental, and yourself, myself, or the whole world which is related with us is nothing but mind only. And all these stories are mental stories, some imaginary stories only. So what? So what? So you can give no importance to anything. If it is mental, everything is mental, and you understand the mind understand the mind, then mind becomes one and it is one-pointed. When it roams about in different identity, then only mind is restless. Different identity means body is not mind. Body has so many aspects, so many limbs. The hand is not mind. The leg is not mind. It is some solid identity. So, prana is not mind. When we see all these differences, then only mind becomes restless. If we see oneness, wherever we go, we see the mind only, then where can it go? If there is no difference, only mind we see everywhere, only mind is there, then how can mind be restless? Huh? Mind has to be one-pointed. That is our aim. That's how all these stories and explanation of the stories. Everything depends upon mind. And mind has to be one-pointed, it has to be stable, and then only all our problems are solved. All the scriptures, all the stories, all these explanations, all these different paths of yoga, they aim at one point. Mind should be restless, should be steady. Then all our problems are solved. No problem, problemless. When mind becomes restless, then all the problems start. This is the purpose. And this is the not only purpose, but this is the way to the goal. This is the process of our sadhana, practice. This is called sadhana, this understanding. When you understand thoroughly well, when you accepted whatever you have understood, you have become it, then everything stands still. Everything remains silent. That is the aim, that is the process, that is how we go through all these stories. Analytically, if you understand all these names, all these stories, all these, say, golden rock, or that Siddha, or that goddess of that world, everything is mental. Just parts of the story and concurrented thought waves, imaginary thought waves, nothing else. Vasistha ji tells it frankly, clearly, openly. Oh Ram, all these are stories only. But yet we say, no, some Brahman, some creation is there. This is our foolishness. You have to come to this point in the end. Everything is dependent on your mind. Your mind. Then only the mind can rest. Or else till then You are restless, you make the world restless, and everything is topsy-turvy. Everywhere there is problem and confusion. Hari Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnata Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasisate Om Shanti 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 Sadguru Bhagavan ki jai सच्चिदानंद भगवान की जय शब्द ब्रह्म की जय सरस्वती महारानी की जय योग वशिष्ठ जी भगवान की जय हरि ओम। Tomorrow